I mean, cash is king, right? Cash is king. If cash is willing to not necessarily pay the highest price possible, but cash is not looking for the steepest discount.
Yeah.
Whenever, if you're looking at all offers across the board and you represent the seller and you got 10 offers, that cash one is going to stand out. If it's anywhere in contention close to those other offers.
Yeah.
So why does it stand out? And how can you make other offers appear to be like cash? That's the goal, to help the finance offers be able to compete with cash.
Yeah, no, that's a great question for this podcast, which is negotiation strategies for selling a home, and some things to consider when picking an offer, or what you were just talking about, which is why are cash offers so attractive. I think, when I work with sellers and my counsel to sellers, for a cash offer is, there's no loan contingency. There's no loan approval. There's not a third party that you're waiting on financing to happen. And so there's a convenience. I think that sellers, and what I see for a cash offer, generally a cash offer is not going to be the highest price. So that is definitely something to consider, but occasionally that does happen. I do see that. But the benefit to the seller of a cash offer, and what financed buyers should consider, or at least know what the seller, their position is that it's quicker. There's less things to go wrong, and you can just move quicker generally. I mean, I've had cash transactions close in 7 days. Generally, in my experience, it's about 14. So almost about half. So a finance offer, often you'll hear 30 days. Occasionally, like with some of the lenders we work with, it can be 18 to 21 days. But a seller sees it as faster and more convenient, less things to go wrong. Exactly. Would you agree?
I agree. I think a lot of times people want to take cash just because what you said, less things can go wrong.
Yeah.
There's less strings attached. There's less things holding them back, and they can close quickly. So
yes.
They can close in 7 days. They can close in 10 days. They can close in 2 days if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So the power of cash is that the flexibility you have in able to close on any property you have right away. I think when you have a financed offer and you're competing with that, if you're going against cash offer and you're the same price, cash offer already has an edge on you.
Oh, hell yeah.
You're going to have to be slightly above that guy.
Yeah.
Enough to say, I want this extra more 5, 10, 20, 30,000 over the cash offer because that's going to benefit me. Now, if you don't have the ability, then you got to make your offer as flexible as possible.
That's right.
Which means you got to remove any contingencies that you can. Meaning, hey, I'm not going to do a home inspection, or maybe I am, but it's going to be,
right.
I'm not going to ask you for any money after
right.
that. It may be my loan is solid, I'll write off on it right away. My appraisal is solid. You can look at my finances, my credit's good, I have this much money in the bank, I'm a super solid buyer, and I'm going to close on this property. That's the fear we all have, is that you accept a financed offer, and for some reason, they don't get to the closing table, and they don't close on the property because of their loan, because of their finances. So a lot of times, for buyers, it's relaying to the seller that they're just as strong as cash, and they can close on this property just like any other cash offer would be.
Yeah. I think this is several tips for buyers that have been consistently beaten out by cash offers. Let's just say, just to give an example, you're in the $700,000 to $800,000 price range. You have a cash offer at $750,000, and you could go up to $8 or $825 or whatever. I would say, in my experience, if I was negotiating and my buyer loved the house and hey Joey, I'm willing to do what it takes to get the property, I would say you at least need to be about $15,000 above the cash offer.
Yep.
So $15,000 above, sometimes $10,000. So I'm thinking, if someone tells me, a listing agent saying, hey, we have a cash offer, let's say they're giving me a little bit of information about the price. If they're at $750,000, the home's listed at $725,000, they came in at $750,000. I'm immediately talking with my buyer and saying, listen, it's up to you what you want to do. You do not have to pay more than what you want, but if you want the property, I would recommend going at 765, so that's 15,000 above. In knowing that the cash offer is at 14-day close, I would pick a lender, and again, this would have already happened weeks before. Pick a lender that can close in 21 days. So you're at 765, 15,000 above. You're at 21-day close, so you're close 6 days longer than the cash offer. And I'll also include paying a per diem per day every day that we don't close. Maybe it's $100, something. And shortening the contingencies that I have. So the loan, the appraisal, really, really short. Maybe they're under 10 days. Because the cash offer, they're going to probably want 7 to 10 days to inspect the home in most cases. So we'll still have 7 days or 5 days to do the home inspection, and I'll say 10 days for appraisal and loan. Yeah. So we're matching it as close as possible so that what I want to do, if I have a buyer, like I said, every situation is a little different, but in the event that my buyer wants the property, this is their, this is the home that they want to raise their family in, 15,000 above, closing in 21 days, and promising to the seller that our contingencies are going to be very, very short, and we're offering a per diem per day. So I'm trying to present our offer that it's a slam dunk to pick this buyer. I'm calling the listing agent every day. I'm having my lender call the listing agent. So if I'm negotiating against a cash offer and I'm representing a buyer, I'm going all in. Now, every property doesn't demand that type of attention. Sometimes we'll have buyers that, oh, you know what, Joe, I'm only willing to pay $5,000 above. Oh, that's totally fine. That's fine. Our approach can change, but this is the extreme of, my buyer wants it and they're willing to play ball.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because not every scenario are you fighting against cash offers. Not every scenario are you fighting against multiple offers.
Right.
Sometimes
True.
you're just negotiating with you and the seller.
That's right.
Mano y mano, trying to get the best deal possible. And so many people get hung up on price.
Right.
I've actually had people say, I don't care about the price right now. I'm going to go negotiate later when I do the home inspection. And they may beat you a little bit up on the price, but they're thinking once they do the home inspection, that's when they're really going to gut you and try to get the best deal possible. So there's so many different ways to negotiate. It doesn't always stick down just to the entry price when you're coming in. Because let's say you did go 10 or 5,000 above the cash offer, and they accepted your offer. Now you did a home inspection and you said, hey, you know what? I see a couple of things, and you wait to the last minute and you're like, yeah, I see a couple of things that I don't want to, move forward on unless these things get addressed. Maybe you come down a few thousand, and by that time, usually sellers are like, I'm already in the deal. I don't want this buyer to walk. I don't know if that cash buyer's still there. Yeah, I'll negotiate. Sometimes you end up getting a better deal than you would have if you didn't negotiate at all. So.
Absolutely, and that's exactly my approach.
Yeah.
It's like, get the offer accepted. There's two goals. Number one, get the offer accepted, and then number two, just deal with or get the best deal. Number one, get the offer accepted. Number two, now we're working on the deal because what people don't understand is before an offer is accepted, the seller has all the control. Especially if you have multiple offers. I'm kind of giving painting a picture of a property that has multiple offers. So the seller has all the control before the offer is accepted. Right after this, it's signed and dated, you got acceptance. Now the buyer has all the control because at least through the home inspection contingency time frame, the buyer can choose to walk away for any reason and get their deposit back. Yeah. So they kind of carry the cards from there on. And so what you're saying is now work on credits or price reductions or whatever because of something happened to the home inspection and whatnot. Because oftentimes you might be able to get down. And actually, most times I do get down to get it a little bit more reasonable or closer to what that cash offer price was. Yeah. But some properties, if you're the only offer and it's been 30 days, we're definitely not going all in and closing in 10 days. And we're taking a little bit of time, making sure that nothing else on the market is coming up and having our due diligence and, not feeling rushed. But, and honestly, in this market today, and I know in most places around the country, every month is a little, I'll have a property where we're doing a 30-day escrow, 17 days for inspection,
Yep.
and in the same month, I have a different property. They had multiple offers. I have to do home inspection 7 days, and we're closing in 22, 23 days. So every property is a little different. It's our job, and then also for the buyer out there, you need to be open. You need to understand that in this market, it's not like it's been like this before, to where each property is a little different. Each price range can be a little different. When rates go to 7% instead of 6%, the market kind of changes a little bit. So not every property will have that 10 offers, but then not every property will have 10 offers. They might only have one. So just kind of depends. But definitely get the information, see what's going on, and then start keep that communication line open.
You get creative.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people out there buying houses in crypto, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I had a client do that in
yeah,
2020.
Yeah, you can get really creative with this and figure it out. I mean, sometimes you see someone not buy a house because they don't like the color of the carpet.
Yeah.
But they like everything else. And I'm like, really? Just, go ahead, buy the house, and then in escrow say, hey, you know what? I want the floors changed.
Yeah.
For me to close, I need you to either give me a flooring credit.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the contractor out. He's going to give me a quote. And I want to get these floors installed before I move in. You give me the cash to do that, and I can still buy the house I love and get the flooring installed before I close. So there's so many different negotiation things. You just got to be creative and keep an open mind when you're out there shopping as a buyer.
That's
and
right.
know that everything in real estate is negotiable.
Yeah.
Everything.
Even after the offer is accepted.
Even after the offer's accepted, 100%,
Yeah.
man. So many different ways to look at it, but I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Yeah. Lastly, I mean, you talked about being flexible, and I highly agree, because for most people, signing legal documents, like you're like in the example I gave before, you're paying $765, 15 grand above. You might feel like that's a little bit overpaying, but you really, really love the house. In that situation, I mean, I've been in that situation countless times since 2020, because we've had such a hot market, and that we've really needed to do everything we could to get an offer accepted. And so sometimes I can come up against a buyer that maybe they're an accountant or they're an attorney, and they view it's hard to understand that everything is negotiable. And so signing at $765 when you don't necessarily, you really wanted to pay $755, but you really like the house, to be open to the negotiation doesn't stop here. It's not final right here. And I think sometimes the consumer can feel like it's final. Once I sign the offer, it's done. It could be. The seller might not budge. But if that happens, now you can walk away and go find another property. But now you're in the power seat. And sometimes I've seen new buyers, not just the accountants, if you will, and the attorneys, but new buyers, they watch some TV shows. And if they don't get everything they want you're writing an offer and you're trying to get an offer accepted, then they walk away. Well, I'm like, well, you could have actually. There's actually a chance you could have already you would have got that and more if you would have just had the holding power, stayed in. Again, I'm assuming that you like the property but it's the carpet thing you said. It's like, well, you're gonna not move forward with opening escrow and get an offer accepted because of carpet. Like, okay, you could do that, but what if you could get the carpet and the house painted with a credit that they, and you have the house that you like? I mean, so that could happen. But I think it's important to, have a solid real estate agent that understands the market, that's going to get the information and know what situation the seller's in. Do they have offers, all that kind of stuff? Are they doing a 1031 exchange? Are they moving out of state? All that kind of stuff, because all that goes into play when you go to write an offer.
You said it, man. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And you got to keep an open mind. You can't walk away from a house because of the paint, because of the flooring. If you love the house and you want the house, just negotiate and go buy the house.
That's right.
Ask the seller to replace it. Ask the seller to fix it. There's so many different ways to negotiate, but you got to be open to it, and you got to have an open mind and think creatively to go make these things happen. There's things you can negotiate on price, you can negotiate on repairs, you can negotiate on cosmetic upgrades, but you have to first put that negotiation out there and ask.
Yes, and I think lastly what I'll end on is especially in this market when we have low inventory,
Yeah.
you're just not in the position to not buy a house only because you don't like the inside or outside paint color.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to have, like before, we used to have the inventory to go see, hey, you might be able to keep looking around and eventually that house might come up. But, honestly, for years to come, you're just a buyer. You're just not in this you're not in a position to, because you might be waiting forever. You might not ever move if you're looking for the perfect paint color or the carpet color. If the bones work, right? You like the neighborhood. It's in the school district you want. You like how it's positioned in the neighborhood. All that kind of stuff. You like the floor plan. Everything makes sense, but there's some nitpicky things that you're a little frustrated with. It would a closed mouse doesn't get fed. It would be helpful to figure out a way to how can you get that newly done right before you move in and the seller pays for it. That would you rather have 10-year-old paint but you like the color, or you have to figure it out and negotiate and you get it done before you move in and it's brand new. But with low inventory, there's going to be less options, so you definitely need to be flexible.
Awesome. Okay.
Great.
Good.
Cool.